Let's begin with a bold question. What if, with a few small changes, you were able to increase your donations? And not only increase your donations, but double your donations, even triple them, or increase them by 6 times. You could do this without increasing your operating expenses or adding any additional headcount. Just smarter ways of inviting generosity. This is becoming more and more important for nonprofits with the recent changes that are not only taking place at the federal government level, but flowing on down to the other levels of government, to the state and to the local levels. Inflation has been a pain in the neck lately. It's increased your operating costs and it's had an impact on your donors. And your donors are probably experiencing donor fatigue. Hi, I'm Kirk Barrett, and I'm here to help. And what makes me qualified to help is I have over 21 years of business experience. I'm a certified financial planner. I'm authorized to practice before the IRS. And I'm a former Air Force veteran. And I've helped nonprofits unlock hidden wealth. I've helped them raise millions for their charities. And I help them solve problems, specifically their donation problems. Let's discuss one of the problems that I see most often. Most nonprofits are heavily dependent on cash donations. And the problem with that is 99% of assets are held outside of cash. Only 1% are held within cash. Think about your own wealth. Most of it's probably in your investment accounts, your retirement accounts, and equity in your real estate. The question I like to ask when I begin working with nonprofits, and specifically their CFOs, if you had the choice, would you rather receive from a donor a $10,000 check or $10,000 worth of stock? Most of the time they answer they'd rather receive the $10,000 check because it's easier. There's no transfer of ownership. You don't have to sell it. You don't have to deal with an advisor. You don't have to deal with a brokerage firm. However, you should change that approach. And you should be asking your donors to give appreciated stock. The reason for this, there was a study of over 1 million tax returns. I bet that was a fun study to go through 1 million tax returns. And what they found out is that the charities that successfully improved their mix of cash and appreciated asset gifts were able to double their donations within 5 years. And then within 10 years, they were able to increase them by 6 times their current amount. There's reasons for this, and one of those that we've already discussed, where most of the assets are just held outside of cash. Your checking account is where pocket change goes to live. That's where your disposable and discretionary income goes to live. And if your donors are short that month, guess what? You are going to be short that month or that quarter or that year. But what happens when you ask your donors to give appreciated asset, there's something that transforms them. It transforms your donor's mindset from what can I spare to what do I have? And that transformation process opens their hearts up and they start realizing they have more ability to give. In addition to that, the average cash gift is only $100. The average stock gift is almost $16,000. So why are you fishing in the small pond? You need to be fishing over here where the fish are. Moreover, most donors want to invest in values, not institutions. They want permanence. They want legacy. They want the ability to give instruction. They want to be able to create symbolic immortality. And that's another issue with cash gifts. When they write that check to give a cash gift, that's really the end of the process. And that can be painful for a donor. That's what your competition is doing. Your competition isn't other nonprofits. And I'll talk more about that in just a moment. You need to be delivering more value to your donors because most nonprofits view it's the donor's job to deliver value because they are the ones that are writing the checks. And it's the charity's job just to be wonderful in themselves. This approach doesn't really encourage additional fundraising. You need to offer more value. You need to be able to offer more instruction, more permanence because your competition is doing this. And your competition, by the way, are donor advised funds, private foundations, charitable trust. Donor advised funds are the largest charity in America. And they're not really a charity. They're really more of a staging area. The reason why these vehicles are growing so fast is because they're offering that additional value to your donors. They're offering them the ability to provide instruction. They're offering them the ability to create a legacy. And they also have feedback in the way that the assets are going to be invested. So there's no finality to the process. They feel like they're more of a participant in the process. You want to get into your donor's estate plan. A lot of nonprofits view this as competing against their current giving, and it cannot be more wrong. Once a donor completes a legacy plan or a planned gift and makes that nonprofit or charity part of their estate, not only does their current giving doesn't decrease, it increases 75%. And these gifts are very large. I'm talking about the planned gifts. They can represent 100 times the value of their current giving. So this is where you want to ultimately start having these conversations with your donors and see if they're receptive to making you part of their estate. Some of the easy ways to get started, one, update your website. There's more ways to give. Your donors have the ability to give through donor advised funds. They have the ability to give stock. They have the ability to give crypto and other appreciated assets. And share these stories. Once these donors start giving you appreciated assets and there's a story to it, share that because you want that to resonate with your other donors. Let's organize a bid. Let's organize 5 to 10 of your donors that you think would be open to having this conversation, and let's educate them. Let's get the word out. In addition, there's emails. We can send them letters as well. And of course, you can do this yourself. However, it's hard to carve out the time, and you need to be familiar with the current tax code because your donors are going to have a nice tax benefit from their giving. And if they do not seize that opportunity by December 31st, they're going to miss out. And if they find out later on the road that they're missing out, then they're more than likely going to be annoyed by that. We don't want them to get to that point. And that's where I can additionally help your donors with a tax plan and with a financial plan as well. In order to do this, utilize this QR code. That will give you access to my calendar. Find 30 minutes there so we can walk through a strategy session so that we can get the ball rolling for you. I look forward to hearing from you and thank you for attending.